Hello, everyone. It's Walkel Bethelite here. And I want to congratulate all the ex-Jehovah's Witness YouTubers, all the ex-JW whistleblowers, because we have got to have reached about 9,000 videos on Tony Morris. The information is everywhere. That is good. That is very good. And now we're about to be at 900,001 videos. We're going to add another one to it because I want to speculate on Tony Morris, right? Let's speculate. Let's use critical thinking on Tony Morris because people want to know, will Bethel give Tony Morris money? Will they give him some kind of a severance package? And I think that Bethel is going to have to give him some sort of severance package or some sort of monthly income. Not because they are wanting to do the right thing, not because they're a loving organization, but because they have to. They have to. We've got YouTube. We've got all these different areas that a person can get information out and get it out quick. And if we have got 900,000 videos, actually 900,000 videos in one, plus this one here, then that means a lot of people have got interest in what's going on with Tony Morris. And all someone would have to do is show Tony how to set up a YouTube channel. And it ain't hard. All someone would have to do is just show Tony. All you got to do is push this button on the YouTube and it starts recording. And then after you're done, push this button and it's everywhere. And Bethel would be in a lot of trouble. Gone are the days where Bethel can just boot somebody and the only thing that they can do is write a book. The only thing they can do is write a book, and that could take some time. So Bethel can get people out of their hair. Back in the day, Bethel could get people out of their hair and not even have to worry about them until, like, for example, Ray Franz wrote Crisis of Conscience, and then it was a firestorm. So right now, Bethel has got to break Tony off some bread. Otherwise, Crisis of Conscience would most likely happen. But the difference is it would happen twice as fast because of YouTube and other means of social media that Ray Franz didn't have. Tony Morris has got more ammunition than Ray Franz. They've got to break him off some bread. They got to break him off. They got to have some of the nurses at Bethel top him off nicely or something, because Tony Morris it would be a huge liability. I don't want to say that they would, off him or something like that, push him down the steps. All it would take is like maybe 2 fingers to push him down the steps. I'm not saying that they would do something like that and he rolled down a flight of steps and, pass away. His pants would stay on because I think he wears them pretty tight now. That's the reason why we call him Tight Pants Tony. But most likely, Bethel they have to break him off some bread. Otherwise, Tony's video, he could call his channel Tony's Governing Body Experiences. And once that channel hit, it would eclipse all of our channels. It would have 1 million views on every freaking episode. Tony Morris would probably be more popular if he joined our side than he was as a governing body member. All that power is gone. The power is gone, but the popularity and him being a sensation and him standing out beyond, shining beyond any of the other governing body members, that would definitely happen. I don't even think that's speculation. That would definitely happen if Tony was to, or Anthony, whichever you want to say, was to use social media, the power of social media. He would have power beyond what Ray Franz had when he left. So think about that. Let that sink in. Bethel knows that. Bethel knows they let out a short little snippet about Tony Morris is no longer a member of the governing body, and people want to know the full story. Tony could put that out tomorrow and get it to everybody everywhere instantly. That ain't good for Bethel. That is not good at all. So I think Bethel broke him off a little something, because if they didn't and Tony was to go public, that would be part of the public statement that they threw him out after all them years and didn't give him anything. Kind of like they did me when I was, told to leave Bethel, and countless other Bethelites when they were told to leave Bethel, right? All that power that Tony Morris had is gone. It's gone. All that power. Tony Morris was a governing body member. And all that power, Tony, that you had it one day, and then the next day, all that power was gone. You had it one day. And then one day there's an announcement, and there ain't a single person in that whole organization that if you tell them to jump is going to say how high. Let's try that again. Tony Morris one day had all the power in the world as a governing body member, and there's something floating there. I don't know what it is. Here's all the power Tony Morris had. See that, Tony? Whew. Gone. Just like that, it's gone. Yeah, there was something floating in there. I had to catch that. I don't know what it was. It's Tony's power. That's what was floating around in the air. It's gone. You have to understand that for someone like Tony Morris or someone like myself, a huge change not just of status, but a change in the amount of power you have that is, it's insane, the difference. That is going to make a person think. And that leads me to my next speculation. And that is that if Tony Morris was not awake before, I think Tony Morris is either awake or on the way to waking up the exact same way I did now. Because you got to understand that we as Bethelites, we had a schedule. We had a routine. Every day was the same. When they told me to leave Bethel, all of that changed in a day. One day I had a complete schedule. Everything pretty much for the week was scheduled for me at Bethel. I had a title. I had status. Not that that's the reason why I was there, but I had the belief that I was where God wanted me to be. And then the very next day, I'm laying in a bed. I don't have anywhere to be at any specific time. I don't specifically have any kind of a title that anybody recognizes. And as far as my relation to God, I had no idea how it changed or what God would think about somebody having that major of a change of status. The exact same thing that happened to me, where I'm laying in bed and it's all hitting me. You can't help but to think. Your average Jehovah's Witness will just turn their mind off. They'll turn their ability to think off. And they'll just listen to what's being told, because a lot of what's being told, they like what they're hearing. They like being told they're special. They like being told they're a pioneer or they're an elder or they're a ministerial servant. They like that. So they don't care about all the details. But believe you me, when you are a Bethelite one day and then the next day you're not, you're going to be laying down in bed, number one, wondering, why is it that it feels so much nicer not being a Bethelite than it did when you were one? If that's what God's plan was for you, you're going to be actually thinking about what you want to eat for dinner, what you want to eat for lunch. Like, it's too much of a mental change for you to not stop and think. Is all this right? Is this what's supposed to be happening? And then you start questioning, and then the questions never stop. Both Tony and his wife have to be going through that right now. They have to be going through a crisis of faith. At one point, Tony was appointed to a position that he was 110% sure that's where he was supposed to be. And every day he woke up, he had a purpose that he 100%, I'm sure, thought came from God, or he was the right person for the job. And now all of it is gone, and it's gone in a day. So now he's got to sit and think, well, what's next? What's next for me? Why would Jehovah bring me to the governing body just to put me out of it? He's sitting there thinking, this is not how I envisioned my Bethel career. This is not how I envisioned this would all end. His wife has got to be sitting there thinking, my husband ain't got a lick of prominence anymore. Not a lick. As a matter of fact, he looks bad to the rest of the family. Tony Morris has got sons, and I believe his sons are at Bethel. Now Tony Morris is a stain on the family. He's a stain on the family as bad as the Dookie stains in Heard's diaper. Samuel Turd. He's literally a stain on the diaper of Samuel Turd. He looks bad to the whole family now. At one point, he was ahead of anybody in his family. Tony Morris had gone further than anybody in his family had ever gone. And now it's all gone, Tony. What are you going to do now? There's no way. There's no way. This is how he thought it would play out. And there's no way that this story, the way it is playing out, sounds good to him. So now his brain is starting to reject the belief that all this is what was supposed to happen. This was Jehovah's plan to get me in the governing body and then kick me out and announce it to the whole freaking organization on the website. This is not how he thought it was going to go, that he was going to be ahead of anybody in his family, the leader of the family, and then all of a sudden now he's lower than both his sons are. Like, His wife despises him. She's not putting her teeth in her mouth to give him sloppy toppy anymore. She just leaves the teeth out now. I mean, it's impossible for Tony Morris to not be having either a crisis of conscience, it might be bothering his conscience, if he knew it was not true while he was a governing body member. He may be feeling bad that he misled so many people now that they didn't put him out. And if he thought it was the truth, I think Tony thought it was the truth. Tony was in my book study when I was at the Poughkeepsie congregation. He was at my hall. I've heard him go up on the stage and give talks. His talks were freaking heartfelt. He was into it. I think Tony believed. Tony probably more so than Splain. I mean, because Splain is, I think he's inbred. So, but I think Tony believed more than Splain did. I think Tony believes more than Sam Hurd does. I think Tony believed more than Stephen Lett does. Based off their talks, based off their personality, based off what I remember of Tony Morris, he was a firecracker. I mean, more so than a lot of other people, and sometimes that means you believe more than other people. He's always saying negative things about what he calls apostates and all kinds of stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think Tony Morris, we're talking speculation. I speculate that he believed when he was a governing body member. He wasn't just going through the motions. He believed. He believed Jehovah was going to help him through his alcohol addiction, is what I think. And then the reality crashes in. Jehovah is not only not helping me with my alcohol addiction, where I'm on the I can't even say it, where he's on the broadcasts drunk off his arse, but he done got thrown out. The polar opposite of anything he thought would have happened. There's no way that Tony believed before all this that he was going to get put out. So I think he's having a crisis of faith. His faith is not going to be as strong anymore. And hey, if somebody can show Tony how to put the bottle of scotch down for a minute and push the record button on the YouTube channel, he's instant famous. He is instant famous. But not only that, people are speculating on whether or not he will stay at Bethel. People want to know, well, will Bethel remove the status of governing body member, but just let him stay where he is? Let him live there at Bethel. I think with that, there's no good move for Tony Morris. Let's say, for example, that they do allow Tony Morris to stay at Bethel. If he stays at Bethel and he ain't a governing body member, what else is his old drunk ass going to do? What do you think that his old drunk ass has as far as skill? He ain't going to be working in no warehouse. What can he provide for Bethel as far as labor is concerned? He's not going to be in a writing department or anything like that. If Tony Morris is offered to stay at Bethel and he stays, he will have plummeted from a governing body member to a pot licker. He licks the bottom of the pot. He licks the pot clean. A pot licker is somebody who is a waste. Like they're just licking the pots. They're no benefit to Bethel. They don't have a job that's beneficial. You're just taking food from people at that point. Tony Morris, if he becomes a pot licker, Tony, if you stay at Bethel knowing you don't have a skill on earth outside of down in liquor, then you know what Jehovah does to pot lickers, right? He kills them. Jehovah kills pot lickers like this. They go up in smoke, Tony. They go up in smoke. If you stay at Bethel and you're an anchor to the organization, you'll hold it down. You're over there eating all the food, but you're not doing any beneficial work because you're old and your eyes are bulging out of your head and you can't lift anything anymore. Well, then you're a pot licker. Like you just, and I remember that term from when I was at Bethel. Somebody that just ain't no good. You know what I mean? You're no good to anybody. Everybody's pointing at you, calling you a pot licker, right? They're just like I struck that match on this box. They'll be striking matches on the bald spot, this whole bald region of your head. That would be the only thing you're good for them to strike a match off the bald spot of your head while your eyes bulge out and such. Staying at Bethel would be a bad look for Tony Morris because you ain't going to be back on them broadcasts after they done announced all that. You're not going to be back on the broadcast. And I don't know that you do anything else that's that beneficial. So you got to leave, meaning you got to start looking at a place to live and figure out where you and your wife are going to go and a whole lot of different things that you never thought that you were going to have to do. And with that, all that gung-ho attitude that he used to have about, oh, Jehovah's going to snuff out the apostates and pot lickers such as himself. All that gung-ho attitude. And this is where I kind of compare myself to Tony, because when I was at Bethel, I was gung-ho also. You know what I mean? I was all for it. I was 100% in. And them deciding, oh, well, we'll sell the buildings and just put out a whole bunch of Bethelites. All that, who you are on the inside, where you're really trying to exert yourself, that doesn't just disappear. I'm like 500 videos into this thing. Like if you have this attitude that you're all in on something, and then the circumstances change and you realize it's false, you're going to be all in on exposing that it's false. That's what Watchtower has got to be worried about, because of all the people to kick out of the governing body, you kick out the loudest one. You kick out the one with the loudest mouth. Not only does Tony Morris got the loudest mouth, rattling off about tight pants, but he gets the drunkest. He gets stone, buck, start, disrobe, drunk. Do you think somebody that gets that drunk will be hard to get information out of? I don't care if he signs a gag order. I don't care what he signs. When he gets drunk off his ass and starts running around and disrobing, it's not going to be hard to get Bethel's secrets. It's not going to be hard to get information out of him. All we got to do is figure out where he's living. And we just call and ask him questions, and he'll most likely answer it because he's most likely going to be drunk off his ass, not knowing what the hell he's doing. So to kick out the alcoholic out of everybody, you going to kick out the alcoholic? I mean, if you would have kicked out Sam Hurd, all he would have done was, smear messages on the walls using the shit of his diaper. He just dip his finger in the diaper and write on the walls Bethel secrets using his diaper shit as ink. He'd dip his finger in the diaper and go, one for me, one for the wall. Dip it in the dookie. One for me, one for the wall. That's all they'd have to worry about is Sam Turd or Sam Hurd wandering around Bethel smearing messages on the wall in his diaper. But you gonna kick out the drunkest alcoholic governing body member? He gonna do this. He gonna have loose lips. And not only would that be detrimental to Bethel, but it would be beneficial for him. Because last I checked, you can monetize YouTube. You can monetize writing a book. You don't even have to do a YouTube. Someone would pay Tony Morris for information so that they can do a video. There's like 1 billion XJW YouTubers now. He could get paid just to be an informant. And Bethel wouldn't necessarily know that the information is coming from him. So it's all, my speculation is that it's all bad. It's all bad for Bethel. It just, I don't see a situation where Tony doesn't wake up. And once Tony wakes up, he gonna spill the beans. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X-Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.